in August.
Hard to believe.
It seems like yesterday to a lot of us that were alive then. I was in Tupelo, 17 years old, working at a movie theater when I found out the news. And it was just one of those kind of things that the town, and, I thought it was the town, but it was really the world that was being shocked by the death of Elvis at the age of 42 years old. I remember thinking at the age of 17, well, 42, that's a pretty long life. And then, of course, years later, I turned 42, and I thought, well, this is nothing. This is nothing.
No.
And you think about what you lost then. But yeah, this summer we're remembering Elvis on the 40th anniversary of his passing. So it's a big year. This year's a big year in Elvis world.
They have an Elvis channel on Sirius XM just dedicated to nothing but Elvis Presley and his music. You mentioned 40 years ago, and there's people that still listen to his music and still go out to these festivals. I know you've been part of it. Do you liken it to a cult-like following? I mean, how do you explain the phenomenon this many years later? Were people touched really deeply with his music? Did he cut that hard with some of his lyric? I mean, what was it about Elvis that gets people to come out for these things?
I think, to me, and in talking to people, I've been hosting events during Elvis Week in Memphis since 2001. And I host the Tupelo Elvis Festival, Elvis's hometown and my hometown. And I've talked to a lot of people over the years, and what I've discovered is Elvis is a family member. Elvis is a story that is passed down from grandparents to children, from those children to their children. Elvis is a part of these families, and his music is in the house. It's, to a woman in the 70s that was a teenager, Elvis was being played by her mother, and music was being played by her mother, and then 20 years later, her daughter listens to that daughter playing Elvis. So he's this family member that's kind of passed down. The music is passed down, and I'll tell you, I worked at Turner Classic Movies for about 18 years, and I liken what Turner Classic Movies does with classic film into the Elvis world, and that is, for a lot of people, childhood is traumatic, and they look for places of refuge. And they look for places to go to be happy and feel good.
Absolutely.
And for a lot of people, those are going back and watching those movies that they watched with their grandparents or their parents when they were over it, for a Saturday afternoon.
You bet.
And the same thing with Elvis music. It takes people to a place that they remember, like, oh, everything's going to be okay. Watching Elvis movies, Elvis is going to have the girl, Elvis is going to lose the girl, but you know what? He's going to sing a couple of songs and he's going to get the girl back. And those movies can be watched by all generations, and they get passed down from generations. And whatever worked to touch young people in the 50s and 60s, that still is in effect today. I mean, Elvis is kind of transcendent through those eras and through time. And it's really an amazing phenomenon. I mean, you think about it, in the last year and a half, Elvis has had 2 double platinum albums. They've re-recorded Elvis music with the symphonic music.
Sure.
And so 2 double platinum albums. They've opened a 450-room hotel next door to Graceland, and they've just opened a new 20,000-square-foot complex across the street from Graceland to house new museums, new cars, things that have been in storage in the archives. So in the last year, 2 double platinum albums and $150 million spent across the street and next door to Graceland to renew the area and to get Elvis ready for the next generation of people to come tour the mansion and see the artifacts of this man's life. And it's also truly an American story.
Yeah.
I've met people, even growing up in Tupelo in the 60s, meeting people from Japan and Germany who were touched by that thing that was so American, that you can come from a 2-room shack with no running water.
Nothing.
And you can be the king of rock and roll. I mean, abject poverty. People forget that about Elvis, that he grew up in the 30s in Mississippi with nothing. And that little family of 3, they struggled mightily until Elvis really found that the music was the thing that was going to save them all.
Yeah, he was a giving person, too. From anybody that knew Elvis, he literally was the kind of guy that would give the shirt off his back for a person.
And a lot of times we've got a lot of people in Elvis's world that I've gotten to be friends with, and I've done events with, and I've interviewed them over the years. And that's one of the things they told newcomers to the circle was, whatever you do, don't compliment Elvis's watch or his shirt or his car, because he will give it to you. So just, don't say, you can say it very innocently, like, oh, Elvis, I love that ring. You go, oh, hey, here, take the ring, man. I want to give it to you. And I think what that comes from is that growing up in poverty like he did, he understood the value of money. And, as an 18, 19-year-old boy, when he makes it, what's the first thing he does? Well, he buys a bunch of cars for his buddies.
Sure.
He buys mom and daddy a house.
That's right.
That's what you do in the 50s.
Yeah.
And I think what happened to him over time was with the charity and with the giving, what do you give a man who has everything?
Yeah.
Well, there's nothing physical you can give that person. But what Elvis got was, if I give you something unexpected, the look on your face is my gift. You thinking you'll never have something like this. Elvis going down to a Cadillac dealership in Memphis to pick up 7 or 8 Cadillacs that he's ordered.
He did it. He did that. Yeah.
He did that, and there's a woman there who is a maid in a household in one of the richer sections of Memphis, and she's there to pick up the car of the person that she works for. And she's in the showroom looking at the new Cadillacs. And Elvis walks up and says, "What do you think of these cars?" And she's, "Oh goodness, Mr. Presley, these cars are amazing, but I'm just here to pick up. I'm a maid, and I'm here to pick up the car of the person that I'm working for." And Elvis walked away, and he came back in a few minutes with a set of keys, and he says, "This is your car. You drive this home. I'm going to send one of my boys to drive the car home of the person you were picking up, but this is your car. You drive that car." So that's the satisfaction, that's the love that Elvis had for people and in giving. And so many times, the people that work for Elvis told me that he did things for people that never made publicity.
No.
A family might have been burned out of a house. Elvis saw it on the news. And it might not even be in Memphis. It could be anywhere he was touring, and he would send one of his guys with a check for $10,000, take it to that person, give it to him, don't tell him who sent it. Those kind of things that you find out about, and in today's world where people do charity work, but the very first thing they do after they do the charity work is share it on Twitter and Facebook, that's true charity.
Well, they call him the king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley, and Tom, co-founder of Nashville Elvis Festival, a longtime host of Graceland's Elvis Week. He joins us on the phone. When is this big celebration? When's it going to all start in Memphis, and when will people start converging?
Well, they're going to start converging on Memphis around the August 16th date, but we're going to be celebrating Elvis in Nashville, down in Franklin, Tennessee, just south of Nashville a few miles. Beautiful little city down south of Nashville. We're going to start our festival on Thursday, March 30th, and it's going to run through April 2nd. And we've got so many different events happening. We've got an Elvis Tribute Artist Contest, the best of the tribute artists that are going to be competing to go to Memphis to be in the ultimate finals there. We're going to have people that knew Elvis, that worked with Elvis, friends of his, people that were influenced by him. We've got people like Jerry Schilling, who was one of Elvis's best friends, one of the Memphis Mafia, who actually went with Elvis to the White House.
No kidding.
To meet President Nixon. And Jerry loves to tell that story. I love to talk to Jerry, and he has a way of telling that story that makes it into almost a fairy tale of the story of this guy, Elvis, who's writing a letter by hand on the airplane flying to Washington. And Jerry says, "What are you doing, Elvis?" And Elvis, I'm writing the president a letter. I want to go meet with him. And, Jerry is a realist, and he understands that's just not going to happen. Well, within 24 hours, they were all in the Oval Office meeting with President Nixon. So, magic things like that happened around Elvis. We've also got people like Wink and Sandy Martindale. Wink Martindale, who I'm sure you know is the great game show host of such game shows.
That's right.
I know Wink from being sick in school and watching Tic-Tac-Toe in the afternoon. So Wink was a DJ in Memphis in the 50s and knew Elvis then, and was actually in the room the night that Sam Phillips brought the acetate for That's All Right Mama to Dewey Phillips, and they played it 7 or 8 times and got Elvis into the studio to do an interview. And Wink is the only person that was in that studio that's still alive today to tell that story. So he's going to be there. We've got so many people. We've got a great website that kind of maps everything out for you, NashvilleElvisFestival.com. But those kind of stories, we've got people like Brenda Lee, the great country music legend, rock and roll legend. She's going to be there telling her story about meeting and knowing Elvis. So it's just a lot of things planned. DJ Fontana, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame drummer that was with Elvis from the 50s and 60s. It's just an amazing 4-day festival we've got planned in Franklin, Tennessee, just south of Nashville.
Well, it sounds like a heck of a celebration, and like you just said, I mean, you remember this stuff. You grew up; it was the soundtrack. It was what was on the radio, and he had hit after hit after hit that you could hear. And when you hear these songs, it takes you all the way back. Now, the people who impersonate Elvis, you've seen all kinds. Some okay, some kind of on their way to get there, and then. Have you ever met an Elvis impersonator that you said to yourself, I cannot believe this guy. He makes me believe that he's Elvis. I mean, he really, I think, believes that he is. Have you ever seen anything like that?
It's an interesting thing, and I think we've got 3 of them coming to Nashville. Bill Cherry, Dean Z, and Jay Dupuis. 3 guys who have won the contest in Memphis that's sponsored and held by Elvis Presley Enterprises. About 10 years ago, Elvis Presley Enterprises realizes that these Elvis impersonators are not going away, and Elvis shouldn't be defined by the fat guy playing in a jumpsuit at a retirement home or at the mall. that he should really be emulated by those who are fans of Elvis and who study Elvis. And so the guys we have coming to our festival, and they really get into the 3 different eras of Elvis. There's the 50s, there's young 50s Elvis, the Gold LeMay Elvis, the Ed Sullivan Elvis. There's the 60s Elvis, which were the movies and the 68 comeback and the black leather.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's 70s Elvis. There's Aloha from Hawaii Elvis. There's Elvis with that big giant American eagle, on his cape on worldwide television for the very first time.
Sexy, man.
Satellite around the world. And seeing this American icon with that eagle, we've got 3 guys kind of all celebrating those 3 eras of Elvis, and the best of the tribute artists are super fans. They're guys that they know what rings Elvis was wearing, with what jumpsuit, with what necklace went with that. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. I've always say that I want one of the good tribute artists on my trivia team if I ever have to get into a contest about Elvis trivia, because the good guys, and like the guys we have coming, they're the ones that really study Elvis. And I like to say something, Keith, about seeing Elvis in concert. I was able once to see Elvis in concert in Memphis, and that was a night I will never forget. And I always love to say about the really good tribute artists that if you see a really good tribute artist, maybe for a few seconds or a minute or two, man, you get that feeling that you had back in the 70s when you saw Elvis in all his glory on stage.
Yeah.
And if you never got to see Elvis, if you're under the age of 40 and were born after Elvis, passed away,
sure,
that maybe for a few seconds or a couple of minutes, you understand what it was about. Like, oh my gosh, this guy was amazing.
Yeah,
and that's I think they're almost tribute actors. They're it's just like playing a role in a movie or in a play, on Broadway. They're trying to recreate the era and the sound and the feel and the experience. And even these guys will tell you, listen, there is no one like Elvis. So let's just put that aside. No one looked and sounded like that. And their tributes to Elvis are done with love and with sincerity, and it's all for the audience, and it's just people having a great time. It's a family reunion, a family that haven't even met yet.
Yeah, it's truly one-of-a-kind experience, and for Elvis fans, I mean, they know exactly what you're talking about. But if you've not, and this is coming up here real soon, March 30th to April 2nd in historic downtown Franklin. And do you have a website where people can check all this out?
We do. NashvilleElvisFestival.com has all the details. We've got ways to click on there and get your tickets for all the events. We've got hotels that have worked out deals for us. You can click on those, make your reservations at the hotels. You can read about all the performers that are going to be there. We've got tribute artists coming from Australia, South America, Canada, all over the U.S. to compete. So it's really an event that, my co-producer Brian Mays and myself, we sat around and we thought, there are Elvis festivals in Australia, in Japan, in Germany, in South America, all over the U.S. and Canada, but there's not one in Nashville where Elvis recorded over 450 songs at our
Wow, that many.
So we said, you know what, if no one does this, we're going to do this. And so that's why we're bringing Elvis back to Music City, back to Nashville. And we're even going to recreate one of those recording sessions at RCA Studio B. So we've got a lot of special things planned for people that they can check out on the website, NashvilleElvisFestival.com.
Yeah, it's a celebration is really what it is. And Elvis Presley, I mean, influenced so many people. I mean, so many rock and roll. I mean, it sprung